Risk management is like car brakes. Brakes are not for slowing cars down, but for enabling them to drive fast. Similarly, effective risk management not only minimizes downside risk, but also creates opportunities for upside growth. This is not just because survival is necessary for long-term performance, but also because the basic tools of risk management, for example, pre- and post-mortems, incident analysis, and so on, can be powerful tools for innovation and cost reduction when used sensibly. These last three words, when used sensibly, are crucial. Risk management can be an enabler or a burden depending on how it is applied. When performed in an excessively bureaucratic way, it slows employee down and is ineffective. Conversely, when integrated into the business in a lean and practical manner, it enables people to work faster and more efficiently by avoiding incidents and rework. It helps them innovate by surfacing problems and turning them into opportunities. Proper and efficient risk management is not only a defensive tool, but also an offensive one. It is a competitive advantage. Now, let me discuss how risk management can become a bridgehead to business excellence. I began my career in safety consulting, where I noticed an interesting phenomenon. In my consulting engagements, after helping clients reduce their incident rates, I was also indirectly improving their ability to deliver projects on budget and on schedule. Here is why. Reducing incidents requires managers to get teams to follow safety procedures and proactively report dangerous situations. Once they master that, they also learn how to ensure that teams follow all required procedures and report all types of risks, including those that could cause delays or cost overruns. This made me realize that risk management is not only a tool to reduce catastrophic risks, but also a way to improve operational excellence. The same habits we build to analyze safety incidents and share learnings can also be applied to other types of incidents, such as frustrated customers or quality defects, offering invaluable insights for better products, processes, and marketing. Another example is pre-mortems, which consist of imagining, before something goes wrong, that it has already gone wrong, and then asking what most likely caused the incident and what can be done today to prevent it. This approach helps prevent all kinds of failures. Safety incidents, yes, but also project delays, communication breakdowns, and dissatisfied customers. Broad adoption of pre-mortems can bring surprising improvements across operations, marketing, sales, finance, research and development, and other areas. This is why I consider a broader range of risks than just safety incidents and rogue employees when discussing risk management. I also cover risks such as delays and cost overruns, disengaged employees, unhappy customers, failed marketing campaigns, and unsuccessful product launches. All of these can benefit from effective risk management. In the next few minutes, I will provide concrete examples of how risk management can lower costs, increase engagements, and also drive innovation. Let's begin with risk management as a driver of cost efficiency. It is obvious that risk management reduces the costs of incidents, but it can also lower other costs, such as rework, customer acquisition, and innovation. Let's see a few examples. How much time do you spend fixing the mistakes of your subordinates, correcting misunderstandings during delegation, or replacing employees who left dissatisfied or were not a good fit? All of these are rework costs, and a large portion of them is preventable. Good risk management helps prevent them, freeing up significant time for you. Or consider how much of your marketing budget is spent to compensate for a product or service that is not good enough, that has weak positioning, or for customers that are frustrated by the interactions with your company, product, or staff. Many of these costs are preventable, and good risk management helps reduce them. Or consider that innovation is expensive partially because time and money are wasted solving problems that customers do not have or problems that are framed incorrectly. Risk management or problems that are framed incorrectly. Risk management helps by creating a better internal infrastructure for surfacing and relaying the issues that employees and customers face, presenting them in a more accurate, complete, and actionable way. I could give you more examples, but the point is clear. Risk management is not only a tool to reduce operational incidents. Companies that adopt a strong risk management culture generate significant savings across the business, lowering rework, customer acquisition, and innovation costs, while also freeing up time and budget that can be reinvested in growth. Now, let's continue with risk management as a driver of innovation. Innovation can come from all levels of a company. Retail clerks and client-facing maintenance technicians, for example, observe aspects of customer lives that no market research could ever reveal. Line employees are also uniquely positioned to notice operational problems and solutions, such as a process tweak or a new tool idea that no lab researchers can anticipate. So there are two ways in which you can tap into employees as a source of innovation. The first is to use surveys, suggestion boxes, focus groups, and similar methods. In my experience, this approach has limited effectiveness. That's because line employees are often hesitant to share ideas with someone they do not know, such as through an anonymous survey or with an employee based in the headquarters, maybe in a department on another floor. Even when they do share ideas this way, employees tend to be superficial or to understate the potential impact of their ideas. Moreover, because the employee is no longer present when the idea is developed, there is no immediate feedback to gauge its relevance or whether end users are likely to adopt it. So let's see instead the second and better way to collect feedback and ideas. It's to give employees or their direct supervisors the habit of stopping when they notice a problem, and then identify its root cause and proposing an effective solution. This may sound utopian, but it is already standard practice in many companies when it comes to employee safety. Every employee is expected to report incidents, every supervisor is expected to investigate those incidents, involving experts if needed, and to address the root causes so that the same incident will not happen ever again. And then to escalate relevant learnings so that they can be shared across the company. If we already do this for safety incidents, why not applying it to all types of incidents, including quality incidents, customer incidents, delay incidents, and cost overrun incidents? Crucially, it can also apply to frustration incidents, situations that employees find frustrating, such as a misunderstanding with a supervisor or an unnecessarily tedious procedure, because these moments are often rich sources of ideas for improving how the company is run. Now, let's see how risk management can also be a driver of employee engagement. 3 factors disproportionately drive employee engagement, and thus productivity and turnover. How well you hire, because some people are naturally more engaged and engaging. How profitable your business is. It's hard to motivate people if you cannot pay them well. And number 3, how few frustrating moments employees face at work. Risk management can help with all of these 3 factors. First, risk management improves hiring effectiveness by helping you preempt the risks of bringing on a problematic employee or mishandling the search for a sought-after executive. Number 2, risk management increases wages by lowering operating costs and therefore creating larger profit margins that can be reinvested in better pay for more engaged talent. And number 3, risk management can preempt motivational losses by reducing highly frustrating incidents and events that erode engagements, such as misunderstanding with managers that lead to angry discussions or lingering resentment. The common thread amongst everything we have seen so far is that risk is everywhere, not only in safety and security, but also in quality, customer satisfaction, marketing, administration, delegation, engagement, and more. When every incident is seen as preventable and teams have the right tools to address them efficiently, the result is not just fewer failures, but a stronger business overall. Now, let's see how to implement risk management efficiently. Risk management has often a bad reputation for being overtly cumbersome, but it doesn't have to be this way. For example, look at Toyota. Its most important strategic shift was arguably treating quality not as a cost, but as a way to lower costs. The company recognized that reducing defects is expensive only when done poorly and inefficiently. When done well, it becomes highly cost-effective, turning what seems like a burden into a competitive advantage. Risk management works the same way. When implemented competently, it is not a drag, but a driver of agility and competitiveness. If it feels like the opposite, it is usually because it was designed poorly by distant experts who imposed unnecessary complexity without considering its costs. I emphasize implementing risk management efficiently, in terms of both money and time. Not only does this benefit the business, but heavy complex practices rarely get applied. And when they are applied, they consume so much time and energy that little is left to act on their findings. Just as a lecture is only as good as the knowledge students retain, risk management tools are only as effective as the tangible changes they produce. Lectures lose value when professors focus on being correct rather than practical, and the same applies to risk management. It must be judged by the improvements it brings. And just as a lecture should serve students' needs, not the lecturers, a risk management framework should serve the business and its operators, and not those who prescribe it. Finally, I wanted to cover the when and where of risk management. Who, when, and where risk management is integrated in a business greatly affects its effectiveness. To see why, consider a parallel with a finance function. Finance is not only about keeping the books in order and avoiding fines, embezzlements, or bankruptcy. It can also highlight problems and opportunities and guide decisions at every level, from the boardroom to middle managers and even to line employees. The more people know about costs and margins, the more effective they can be, even when deciding only how to allocate their time. This does not happen, however, if finance is treated as a compliance task left to accountants. The more risk management is reduced to compliance, the fewer opportunities it provides. The more it is isolated in a separate team, the harder it becomes to gather useful data, interpret it, and turn it into the insights that get implemented. In theory, it does not matter who performs a task or why, but in practice it does. Who performs it and with what purpose shapes both the quality of the work and the usefulness of its output. The best results come when finance shifts from a supporting function focused on compliance to an integrated function focused on business improvement. The same is true for risk management. To realize its potential in lowering costs and enabling faster growth, two shifts are needed. First, risk management must be seen as more than a compliance tool. It should highlight not only problems, but also opportunities. Since the data collection and analysis for both problems and opportunities are the same, it would be wasteful to use it only for the former. Moreover, risk should be discussed not just during audits, but also in strategic meetings, operational reviews, and weekly team check-ins. If this sounds excessive, it is only because you have heard defensive theoretical discussions about risk and not practical and proactive ones. Second, risk management must become everyone's responsibility, not just the domain of a dedicated team. Every employee faces risks. The middle manager whose subordinate might misunderstand the task, the project manager facing delays, the salesperson whose proposal might be rejected, the clerk selling a product that a customer might not like, the marketing manager launching a campaign that might flop, or the operations manager who's worried about workplace injuries. The point is, there are many kinds of risks with many causes. Restricting risk management to compliance means ignoring non-compliance risks and non-compliance opportunities. And restricting it to a single team means missing opportunities that only other employees can spot. That is why we must go beyond compliance and adopt a broader definition of risk management and of who is responsible for it. So, today we have seen how effective risk management not only minimizes downside risk, but also creates opportunities for upside growth. It can be a driver of operational excellence, cost efficiency, innovation, and engagement by preventing the incidents that burn these and by freeing the time that otherwise goes to rework or firefight. Helping companies implement risk management not only in a defensive but also in an offensive way to implement risk management as a competitive advantage is something that I do professionally since over 12 years. Feel free to ask me any questions or to see how I can help. My website is luca-dellanna.com, luca-dellanna.com. Thank you very much.